I think one of the things, and we had talked about this earlier, and I know that Newt Gingrich has something about this with the contract with America that was so very, very successful. Do you see the Republicans putting something together? I know there's some bouncing around some ideas, but just basically another contract with America to before the midterms get here?
Well, Rick Scott has come up with something that I find very interesting. And it's like anything else. At first glance, it looks really good. Rick Scott's, it's a 12-point plan, and it's just outlining the conservative goals of what would make an economy function. And I'm very impressed by that plan. So, yes, Republicans are coming up with things, and everybody has their input and their additions. But, basically economic growth, tax cuts, securing the border, those things that if you went A, B, C, D, and address all of those and actually implement this plan, it's just simple. Yes, we will create a much better environment and a much better America.
I had Rick Scott on with me several days ago and did outline that plan, and it's good. But somewhere, everybody's got to get on the same page, or it's just Rick Scott's bill. I mean, it's one of the things, to be honest with you, it's one of the things I wish Donald Trump, if he decides he's going to run. I saw some news that he is officially suing CNN, which is not a bad idea. There are people now having to backtrack with different apologies. We saw The View, I think it was yesterday, that they actually had to apologize for talking about one of the organizations had Nazis.
So on Monday, we talked about the fact that there were openly neo-Nazi demonstrators outside the Florida Student Action Summit of the Turning Point USA group. We want to make clear that these demonstrators were gathered outside the event and that they were not invited or endorsed by Turning Point USA. A Turning Point USA spokesman said the group, quote, 100% condemns those ideologies, and said Turning Point USA security tried to remove the neo-Nazis from the area but could not because they were on public property. Also, Turning Point USA wanted us to clarify that this was a Turning Point USA summit and not a Republican Party event. So we apologize for anything we said that may have been unclear on these points.
They still invited Matt Gaetz, though, I would just like to know.
Oh, they had to put that in there, number one. Number two, you can't get these people to actually do factual reporting under normal terms unless you threaten to sue them. And that is sad. That's one of the many apologies that they've had to do. I was saying about Trump, I wish Trump would outline the promises that he would make, just the whole list of them, to return back some of the deregulations as far as the border and things such as that. But his base remains strong. What's your thought on whether he will run or not? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, he was in town this week. I actually saw him. And all indicators point that he is going to. And, he can be a lightning rod. He can be so many things. But we need to get together a strategic plan, or he needs to get together a strategic plan of outlining those things. But he's got a pretty good proven track record. I mean, yesterday morning, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Yeah, he did everything he said he was going to do. And you've got a lot of people interested in running in 2024. Right now, we're looking for the midterms in November. We are looking to try to flip the Senate and the House. But you're exactly right. We need to come up with just a Republican plan, whoever the nominee is going to be, and try to go back to reasonable, sensible legislation. I mean, in 2021, gas prices were $2.34 average. This past June, they were $5.11 a gallon. So Americans are fed up, ready to vote.
I love that we have a break coming up. I love this, that you can save now because the gas prices have come down. And the average savings is anywhere from $2 to, I think, $3.15 per tank of gas. And that Biden is looking at this as being successful. I want to ask you about Ukraine when we return with U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith right after this. EIC with U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. Cindy, there was this other story out there, and God help us, if you guys get the gavel back in the Senate and the House, of course. the GOP has got to be tenacious on hearings because there's enough evidence out there to fire people and lock people up in jail. Monday of this week, your colleague, Senator Chuck Grassley, sent a letter to Merrick Garland, the AG, and the FBI Director Christopher Wray. If Trump is in, I think one of the first things to go would be Christopher Wray, but that's another story. Alleging that their agencies, the AG's office and the FBI, deliberately underplayed negative information on Hunter Biden and his Uncle James. In other words, the FBI's top leadership did damage control for a criminal with powerful connections. It doesn't get any more serious than that. Your thoughts?
Well, Chuck Grassley, a dear friend of mine, he's exactly right. And, so much has just been totally neglected when it comes to Hunter Biden. All the evidence indicates that. And that, there should be prosecution there. But it is unbelievable that the White House administration, how they have protected this, how they have directed every cabinet member that has any authority over this, that they're just not doing anything. You're exactly right. And I agree with Senator Grassley that Republicans have to demand this, and hopefully we can find an avenue that's successful that we can get something done.
Well, you forget just the other day that I think it's this week that we found out that he didn't register as a foreign agent. That's enough to send people to jail. People have gone to jail for that. Certainly have been fined a lot of money. And the other thing, earlier, buying a weapon illegally. Other people don't get that pass, but Hunter Biden gets that pass. Ukrainian President Zelensky dismissed a senior official, is casting an inconvenient light on an issue that Biden administration has largely ignored since the outbreak of the war with Russia, Ukraine's history of rampant corruption and shaky governance. This came back into play with apparently a photo shoot of him and his wife in Vogue magazine. As we send them millions. Is the temperature still turned up to send more and more money to Ukraine? Or are we having some people rumbling that some of that money may not be getting to where it's supposed to be going?
Well, there's still a lot of strong support in the Senate for our commitment to the NATO allies, of course. Mm-hmm. But I am a co-sponsor on a special inspector general for Ukraine. Ted Cruz and I have worked on this together, and, for the U.S. aiding, that we have to make sure those dollars are being spent correctly. So if we get that special inspector general for Ukraine, and there's discussion on both sides to make sure that this money is spent. But it's just that, it's really important to understand that Republicans, we insisted that that last aid package included funding for the U.S. military to develop, new weapons and things for the U.S. military as well. But you're exactly right. But it is critically important that Putin is stopped for national security, for many things here in this country. And it's for other tyrants that are out there that they can see that, this will not be tolerated. Yeah. So there's still a lot of support to stop Putin. And we have all these briefings, these classified briefings, and, when I leave that, it is even more evident that, he has to be stopped.
I understand that, but I just feel the temperature of the people of this country is beginning to say, are those, especially with that Vogue photo shoot of him and his wife in different poses there, it did not play well for his PR.
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't seen that? Well, it's been in the news for the last couple of days. And it doesn't bode well for his PR. I'll say that. To give you an idea how out of touch this president is, his numbers have caved. Oh, I did this. You'll appreciate this. Have you seen the Lincoln Project advertising? Their ad from the Lincoln Project. And you didn't? Did you have an aneurysm while you watched it?
This week it's been so hard not to have aneurysm.
It is so bad that I at first thought about capturing it and playing it, but it wouldn't be any a duty to do that to this audience, or I just felt bad about doing that. It was so bad, it was almost like a Babylon Bee, that this president has done such a great job. The economy is on fire. He's come through so many different things that were left for him, and he's corrected the situation. And then you start looking at the polling. And that ad, by the way, was not there for Republicans. It was there to repair a bleeding base of Democrats who are leaving and don't want him to be there. But he was asked about this, and here it is.
Mr. President, what's your message to Democrats who don't want you to run again?
They want me to run.
2/3 say they don't.
Read the polls, Jack. You guys are all the same. That poll showed that 92% of Democrats, if I ran, would vote for me.
A majority of Democrats say they don't want you to run again in 2024.
92% said if I did, they'd vote for me.
92% of Democrats said that if he ran again, they would vote for him. I don't know where he got that. I have no idea. Even if you skew elderly citizens between 89 and 92, I have no idea where he got that. Final thoughts from U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith.
Well, that is so typical, that just in denial. Yesterday morning, I had breakfast with Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen. And, we were just sitting across the breakfast table at each other. And it was kind of the same thing that, we may be in a technical recession. What is a technical recession? This woman is an economist. And it is total denial that I thought we would talk about budget requests. I thought we would talk about several things. But, she is defending this. And she confidently assured me that the only reason we have gas price hikes is because of the Ukraine invasion when Russia. And I confidently assured her the dates that happened, and that had nothing to do. This had already started this before the invasion ever happened. Now, it has made it worse, no doubt. But to sit there across the breakfast table with her coffee cup and say that's the only reason that we have gas hikes is because of the invasion, when this started on day one when the Keystone Pipeline was shut down. So it was very, very hard to contain the frustration and to get through that meeting with her. I was delighted that I was invited and had the opportunity. And I thought, well, maybe we can come out of here with an agreement that we've got to have something reasonable. Did not happen, Paul. I mean, total denial for the members, the Treasury Secretary, anyone you talk to here. Reality is not in play.
I can't believe that she's still in that position. Number one, and I gave an analogy that she, the aunt on Bewitched, she doesn't seem to know where her surroundings is. But also Gracie Allen on the George Burns show. I would have more faith in Gracie Allen than I would in this lady. But she is a train wreck. We're expecting those numbers, I guess, probably in the next couple of hours. Since today is Thursday, as far as the GDP numbers supposed to roll out today.
We got yesterday we got a lot of good indicators. The Federal Reserve, they raised the interest rate another, 0.75%, 0.75. And that's the fourth increase in 5 months. And you cannot make this stuff up. It is totally amazing that we're dealing with this true inflation, which will be a true recession, the border, fentanyl, you name it. And we just cannot get November here soon enough to try to get this train back on the track.
I think most people feel the same way about that, because it is caving. And we have something to compare how it should be not that long ago in the past administration. So that's going to play on the minds of a lot of people coming up in November, I do hope. Cindy Hyde-Smith, U.S. Senator, ma'am, it's always a pleasure. I thank you so very much. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.